those stimulus discretionary funds. She chose to do a study and put dollars towards a study on algae. When we were talking to her and said, listen, you need to take a look at where these discretionary funds can be used, she made her choices, and those choices were very clear. But she can undo the damage that she's caused. She can't ever bring back those 2 lives that are lost. But at the same time, she can assist with those 96 remaining. She does have discretion and she has choices.
The governor received $185 million in stimulus money that was solely for use at her discretion. She spent some of those dollars on so-called economic investments, although she has refused to give any detailed information about what those are. We did an open records request. I filed an open records request last fall and again this spring. She refused to give any detailed information about how she has spent those dollars. We do know that she spent $2.4 million on algae research because she did a press release about it. It's important to note that that is twice the amount of paying for transplants for one fiscal year. That's twice the amount. So I would encourage you to do a public records request, and if you get a better response from her than I did, we can swap notes.
Yeah. Because the orangutan house will be built in the zoo, that means the governor values orangutans more than people, basically. But the orangutan house is being built with private funds donated by a private company, by a private research. No state money is involved in that. Why, if it's such a small amount of money, why can't private people in Arizona, once these transplants go forward, come up with this small amount of money to fund this, irrespective of what the government does?
The reason I brought up the orangutan was to show sort of the state of our moral values, our relative values here. The fact that an orangutan could get a better habitat or a new home versus Doug Gravano, who's standing here before you, who's got 6% of his hardworking, that the guy's going to be dead within 6 months if he doesn't get transplantation. Look, you know, you can have your public-private argument all you want, but at some point we have to say that government could be used as a force of good in society. A government can be used to lift up people. It doesn't always have to go to the private sector. And if the private sector were so successful, then how come the private sector hasn't solved this problem at this particular point in time?
Thank you. Thank you. Why couldn't it be found elsewhere instead of hammering on this scientific and public?
Well, one thing to note is that while it's only $1.2 million a year for Arizona, there's double that amount of money that comes from the federal government. So for every dollar that we spend on Medicaid, we get more than $2 from the federal government. So the actual cost of the program annually is it's about $7.2 million. Now, the reason that it's only 1.2 for us is because Medicaid pays a large portion of this cost. It's important to note that by choosing not to fund the Medicaid transplant program, our tax dollars are still going to the federal government to fund transplants. Right. But those transplants are being offered to people in other states. Right. Those transplants are not happening here. So we're continuing to pay those federal tax dollars. We're just not getting the benefit of those transplants. There is a group, Senate President Leo Corbett, former Senate President Leo Corbett, is working to try and raise private funds along with the Bashas family. It is difficult to raise that amount. It's 3 times the amount of what we fund per year, and it would have to be long-term. There's a real issue about ensuring that once you pay for someone's transplant, that you're then able to help them with the anti-rejection drugs for the rest of their lives afterwards. So a private facility or private fundraising effort is not adequately equipped to address that. There's also issues of medical liability that one would have to take into account.
But also, one of my bill addresses that issue alone, where the state wouldn't have to pay $1.2 million. They would pay half of that, which would be $600,000, which would include the TAP non-for-profit private organization that would fund half that amount. So the amount of money here is not even questionable. I mean, because we have different solutions, whether it be private, public, whether it be through tax credits, whether it be through the governor's fund. I mean, there's been numerous solutions, and the fact that she hasn't acted on any is absolutely just, it's insane.
We'll take one more question from the media, and then we'll stop. Questions from other individuals, we'll certainly answer those. I want want to just quickly note a number of state legislators who joined here in support today. State Senator Leah Lancham Taylor, Senate Minority Leader David Shapira, House Minority Leader Chad Campbell, State Representative Ben Arendando. They were all here this morning also standing in support. And we feel, did I miss anyone? Mr. Daniel Patterson, State Representative Daniel Patterson is also here. And even those individuals are not representative of the true number of state legislators who support these efforts. We stand strong with Arizonans to restore transplants, and we will continue to fight until those 96 people receive their transplants and their lives are saved. Thank you very much.